Who is the next Puka Nacua? We've got a lot of names we can throw around. We love Ricky Pearsall. We're going to talk about him as probably the lead candidate. I'm going to do a little 10, 12-minute video production here that I pre-recorded, but I'm coming right back. I'll be in the live chat the entire time, so I'm going to play that for you in a second. We're talking about Jayden Daniels signing his rookie deal, $37 million, 24+ guaranteed. We've got DK Metcalf getting moved all over the field to be an absolute monster in 2024. We've got a potential trade that almost happened, or an attempt to try and get the Rams moved up into that 10 spot during the NFL draft to get Brock Bowers. We've got more news. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I give you about 11 or 12 straight minutes of who is the next Puka Nacua. We got McMillan as one of the smaller candidates. We've got obviously Burton as a deeper candidate, but Ricky Pearsall cracks the top of this list. I give you the next Puka Nacua.
Smitty, who's the next Puka Nacua? Smitty?
I've got your Puka Nacua right here. At least the best shot at him. Nothing's a lock when we're talking double-digit round wide receivers trying to land Puka Nacua. This is not a conversation that's safe, or hey, this is a guarantee, or I can't see it happening. Smitty, look at all the roadblocks. We get that. We're trying to deep dive and find the next Puka Nacua, the next Cooper Kupp, if you will. Let's get into it. Ricky Pearsall is a guy I absolutely love walking into 2024, and especially 2024 and beyond. And you might say, Smitty, wait a minute.
He's not even a starter. What are we talking about here, Smitty?
So, I mean, the thing is, we don't know if Debo or Ayuk is getting traded, but we have a couple things that kind of make us think that there's still something on the horizon here. They drafted Ricky Pearsall in round 1. That gives the Niners the 5th round option. They're clearly thinking about him as the future. Why else would you take him in round 1 than to secure that 5th round option? It's kind of smart. It was kind of early. It was both good and bad in that sense, but the fact that Shanahan's looking at this from he is our 5th year option opportunity, like Ayuk is right now for the Niners in the future, he's looking at Pearsall as a long-term investment. He walks into the best offense he could walk into in terms of his skill set. He's quick. He's an absolute elusive monster. I mean, I almost tore my ACL watching him cut. I think this was yesterday or today. Don't worry about that drop ball. He barely ever drops the football. He's got amazing hands. But this is a player that when we did our early January and February rankings outside of any sort of, landing spot connections or anything like that, Ricky was in my 4 or 5. And we talked about this quite a bit on Niner live streams with my boy Raj. And I even went into his Niner live stream on Instagram and said that if you guys trade away Ayuk, you should be drafting either McConkey, Malachi Corley, or Ricky Pearsall. Those would be the best replacements for a Brandon Ayuk or a Deebo Samuel in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Those guys are perfect. But I think at the end of the day, this comes down to, if it's a 2024 investment, what is the opportunity of him getting you your cost of entry return, your ROI back without any sort of risk to your lineup build. In redraft, you're drafting him at the near end of the draft. You're drafting him in double-digit rounds. He's climbing ADP-wise, no doubt about it. If I pull up the ADP rankings on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, and these are the best rankings you can find for ADP. Why? Because everybody's a paying customer. Yeah, on Underdog, he's going at 143 overall, which is actually pretty damn good when you think about the ability he has to be a next Cooper Kupp, a next Puka Nacua in a way. And there are not a lot of guarantees right now as to how much workload he can get. But when you're talking about 143, that is right around the 12 to 13 turn. And at 12 and 13, I mean, who are you going to take? You're talking about Brandon Cooks. You're talking about a player like Romeo Doubs. You might like Doubs, and that's fine too. Jacoby Myers. None of these guys are horrible players, but this is where you could maybe get the Puka Nacua. And before you say something like, oh, Smitty,
How could he be Puka? He's not Puka Nacua.
Remember that no one really knew exactly what Puka Nacua was going to be, and these things happen. And when looking at him running routes, his ability to cut, stop, start, and what he's going to probably do if he does get injected into this offense in San Francisco, the sky's the limit. Now, again, back to the question at hand. What is the likelihood he gets into a starting job this year? Let's say worst case scenario, Debo and Ayuk remain on the Niners roster, and Ricky Pearsall has to kind of be that third wide receiver. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that injury could open the door to Ricky Pearsall. I'm not saying that's the best plan of attack to say, oh, I'm going to draft him, hope for an injury to a starter like Debo or Ayuk, but Debo does run a lot. Debo has been abused over the years, and Shanahan does injure a lot of his players. He runs them into the ground, and then on top of that, holdout players often struggle. Ayuk is in holdout mode. Who knows how long it lasts, and he'll probably have a bad year like Debo did if he extends this thing too long. Now, we don't know how all that's going to play out, but it's one aspect to say, hey, even if a trade does not happen, there's still a pathway for him to get on the field. And once he starts delivering, again, they're thinking about next year. They're thinking about getting him versed and ready to go. And so he's not just going to return to the bench. I'm not saying he takes over from an injured Ayuk or Debo that misses 4 games, but there's a pathway for him to absolutely explode from his 13 or 14 round value. Okay, so in the worst case scenario where no one's traded, he's got to beat out Jayden Daniels, who just got an extension. But that extension also makes me think, okay, you take Pearsall round 1, you extend Jennings, you extend Christian McCaffrey. You now have Ayuk and the Niners so far apart in terms of this contract because of all the other deals that have been piled up on top of each other. You've got the $76 million guaranteed deal that goes to Waddle. You've got the $77 guaranteed deal, $77 million that went to St. Brown. You've got Ayuk now wanting those contracts. And you can't blame him for asking for Waddle's money because Waddle's a number 2 wide receiver on his team, second to Tyreek Hill. Same kind of situation. So $76 million, you got to think that Ayuk is at least going to want 70, right? Niners are probably not even close to paying him $70 million guaranteed. Ayuk is most likely going to try and bank on himself and play on his 5th-year option. And at that point, the Niners got to say to themselves, we've got Pearsall waiting. Do we just keep him on the back burner? Or do we say, you know what? Screw it. We took him around 1 because we know we love him. We can develop him. He looks unguardable in practice. His route running's absolutely crispy as anybody. Let's try and move Debo or Ayuk. If they move Debo, they can sign Ayuk and pay the piper, or they can move Ayuk. Very few teams will be interested, but they could move Ayuk to like a Washington Commander team and, pair him up with JD5. There's opportunities, but they're going to be tough. Ayuk's going to have to say, you know what, I'm going to accept a little less to move out of this situation and be somewhere where I feel wanted. Because right now, Ayuk and Debo probably don't feel very loyal to the Niners right now because the Niners have made it abundantly clear this is their future and they'll move either one of them. You might say, oh, it's a business. They're not worried about that, Smitty. Ha, ha, ha. Think about it from your perspective. You walk into work tomorrow, you find out your boss tried to move you to a different company, a rival company. They tried to sell you off, your contract off, your salary off in exchange for another person. It didn't work out, and now they say, okay, let's go to work. Sorry about that. Didn't work out, but we're glad you're here. Let's see how loyal you feel to your team. So when you ask me, Smitty, does Debo or Ayuk want to get out of Dodge? Probably, like if the price is right. And maybe Ayuk won't accept a low ball Niner deal, but maybe he accepts some sort of incentive-laden deal that is across stream and allows him to maybe have that fresh look at things. But we'll find out. All I know is that this guy's worth the gamble that maybe a trade does still go down because of all the pieces we're trying to connect, all the dots we're trying to connect with the Jennings extension, the first round drafting of Pearsall, trying to trade both Debo and Ayuk, trying to maybe posture and say, oh, we're not trading either one, because that's what the next thing someone's going to say.
Smitty, John and Kyle already said they're not trading either one
right now. That's called posturing, Bob. That's called posturing. You're not going to telegraph what you want to do. Please come take Debo and Ayuk. They're still going to try and get a deal done, I think. The problem with the Ayuk deal, again, is that who wants to pay the amount of money that Ayuk got priced out because the Niners sat on their hands and said, let's let all these other deals come roll in. And now they priced Ayuk out of any trade. Debo's contract's very tradable. The Buffalo Bills could win a Super Bowl in 1 to 2 calendar years with Debo on roster. The Washington Commanders would be the Houston Texans this very year or the Detroit Lions this very year if they got Deebo Samuel. Deebo's the more attractive piece to go get anyway. This is one of the best yak yard players to ever play the game. In the last decade, he might be the very best yak yard player in the National Football League over the last 10 years. Deebo Samuel is the much easier player to trade, the much more attractive player to go get, to be honest with you. The dynamic this guy brings to your ball club, you could throw to him, run him. He's an absolute monster. Buffalo would use him perfectly. Washington, I don't know, but he would be a great fit anywhere, really. And we'll play it by ear. But you want my next Puka Nacua? You want my next potential 11, 12, double-digit round, grab him, and you're trying to hope for a home run? There's no luck here, guys. We're not talking about a 6th-round player that has to land. We're talking about taking your stab and trying to get the next Puka Nacua in double-digit rounds. Mind you, that's what we're trying to do here. This is a deep grab. The other guy I would say, if I was to throw out another name, would be this man right here, who I absolutely love as well, Jermaine Burton in Cincinnati. Because guess what? T. Higgins is getting priced out of a contract as well. He's on the franchise tag, or shall I say he hasn't signed it yet, but he will be eventually on the franchise tag. He wants big top 5 to 7 wide receiver money. That money the Bengals didn't want to pay when that was lowball money. Now that it's climbed into the 30 mil a year territory, the Bengals are not going to probably give it to him. You never know. Teams are weird, but I think Burton's the replacement for Higgins, and they're going to get him work to see if they can verse him before, get them all set up and ready to go before the season ends, so they can just throw him in and not, like, kind of do a will he be the right guy kind of experiment in 2025. They'll know. They'll be versing him into his role. So Burton is probably the next guy I would say after Ricky Pearsall. They're very, very close in ADP. Those are my 2 next Puka Nacuas. Do it live. Don't forget, guys, about the Patreon, because, God, we got a good community over on the Patreon. This is where our community is live, 365, 24/7. I've got 10 live chat message groups right here where we're all just in there. The app is so simple. You open it up and you see all 10 of the chats. You just go in there and create a question, and everybody's kind of in there bouncing in and out all day long. $10 a month. It avoids having any trolls, because it's a product that people are paying their hard-earned money to be in. So it's serious, and everybody's trying to help each other. You have a trade question. You want to just talk ball. You're bored. You want to talk about something off topic. We got a general chat. We got a game day chat. So any game that's going on Monday, Thursday, we're all in there going, hey, did you see that play? Hey, we need a touchdown here, et cetera, et cetera. And the first 200 members to join get a spot in my 242-man league. And the winners of each of the 11 leagues in this, and this will be a live draft event live on the channel. All 240 people will be in teams of 20 or groups of 22 in 11 leagues. And the 11 winners in 2025, those 11 winners will be in a Dynasty Startup League. We'll draft on the show live. It'll be the main official Dynasty League of the Fantasy Football Show community, and it's all going to be because of this Patreon. It's a Patreon crew. All the people you see in the live chats, they're all in the Patreon. A bunch of familiar faces. Get in there. Here's the link right here. It's also in the description of the video. Appreciate every single one of you. Live whenever
ladies
breaks,
and gentlemen,
course, and
this
then live
is
Monday through Friday.
This is now live, and I appreciate you joining me for that little 12-minute "Who is the next Puka Nacua" segment. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I'll even put this on screen one more time. There are several candidates that could be considered the next Puka Nacua. This was me isolating down to one player. This does not mean that we don't have Ricky Pearsall, Jermaine Burton, Jalen McMillan, Malachi Corley as potential candidates as well. Let me throw this back on screen and show you guys what I'm talking about here. So Malachi Corley, let's see here. Corley, there we go. It didn't edit. Hold on. Right here. I'll just put it right here. So Malachi Corley, Jermaine Burton, Lad McConkey and Keon Coleman don't count because those guys are getting drafted super high. So it's not the same conversation. We're talking about guys that no one really sees coming to the degree that they're bringing it. We're talking about double-digit round players. Malachi Corley qualifies. Ricky Pearsall qualifies. Jalen Burton qualifies. Every single one of these players is a little bit different than a Lad McConkey who's going really, really high, sometimes higher than I can even possibly wrap my head around, because we just don't fully know he's worth the value. Here's that list in a better form here. So anybody saying Coleman, and of course we love Keon Coleman. That's a whole different, monster. He's a fantastic potential breakout player, no doubt about it. Breakout still, yes, but next Puka Nacua, I don't know if we want to go there. This is having a real big sizing problem. There we go. Let's get into the news. We've got some news to go over. I'll open the phone lines. Appreciate everybody here. Again, this is now live. That little pre-recorded segment was just to make sure you guys got your dose of the next Puka Nacua in a very, very condensed format. Sometimes I'd like to do that with my live streams, just give you guys like a 10, 12-minute video clip to kind of mix things up once in a while. This news real quick, get out of the way. Blake Corum, head coach Sean McVay said Blake Corum's really stood out in the offseason practices, which makes this an even more important conversation. Nobody's scared of Kyren Williams losing his job. Part of even bringing that up is to make sure we reiterate that. But when you hear things like this, and you know people are taking it that way, then there might be a value drop. There might be a couple people willing to sell off Kyren in a dynasty league, and then you go and knocking on doors there. Kyren is 8 times the running back that the Blake Corum is. But Blake Corum's a fantastic player in this system. If anything happens to Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, this is great. You want him brought along quickly. You want him up to speed. You want him capable of being a 100-yard and a touchdown guy in a McVay system. This is the best cuff in fantasy football. This is the best cuff in fantasy football. This guarantees you Kyren Williams is not a top 5, 1 to 5. He's a top 1 to 5 running back. Doesn't matter what Corum is. Corum could be great. Doesn't matter because Kyren's top 1 to 5. The duo guarantees you explosive production all year long.
He's Kyren. He's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren. He can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
And we need a certain, no offense, Prime, not trying to call your comment out, but we need enough, primes in the building. Kyren, we need you. Prime, you do us more good than we do you. So the thanks is all on this side of the table. I hope that we see, this is the kind of reaction, no offense, Prime, but oblivious, put your earmuffs on real quick, oblivious, unaware reaction that's going to make people potentially scared off because something positive is being said about a lesser running back, to a significant degree lesser running back. Corum is a fantastic cuff. To the moon for Corum in that regard. Absolutely. This news right here was music to my ears. Ryan Grubb is the OC, the guy that was the offensive coordinator at Washington, commanding the Penix Jr. situation. So Penix Jr.'s offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, goes over to Seattle. Seattle is a 2 wide receiver set offense, and now it's going to be a 3 wide receiver set offense. That means that JSN is going to be on the field constantly, being used at a 30% capacity is what JSN was being used at last year. How could he thrive? Now it's going to be flipped on the upside down, and it's going to be a 70 to 80% usage capacity type of thing. So DK is going to the moon. JSN could go to the moon. And don't forget that Lockett's an old man. And so DK, they're talking about moving DK. Here's what was said about him. Let me pull up the DK Metcalf right up here and just read this off. But it goes something a little something like this. Let me refresh this. Here we go. Also, Eckler returning kicks. We talked about that yesterday. And some people are going to be like, oh, that means he's not going to get run. This is a different year. This is a year where this return situation is making teams explore a lot of things. And no one thought Eckler was going to be the full-time running back. We want him to be a receiving back in this offense. Ben Sinnott signed a 4-year contract. So did Jayden Daniels, signed his 4-year deal. We'll get to that in a second. But this little number about DK. McDonald told NFL Network, this is his head coach, Mike McDonald, who got brought over from the Ravens, right? Nice head coach move, right? The same formula we've wanted, for every one of these teams, the way that teams are stacking their offensive coordinator and head coach, the way that they do it. I really like what's going on here. Ryan Grubb's like a mini head coach. Zach Robinson is in Atlanta is like a mini head coach. The offensive coordinator is becoming as important as the head coach in the NFL now, and that's the most important formula to creating the next Detroit Lions, the next Houston Texans, the next Cincinnati Bengals. So Ryan Grubb to the freaking moon. 3 wide receiver sets. Let's send DK all over the field. And he said this. He's big. He's imposing. He's fast. He's powerful. Powerful wide receiver, McDonald said, adding that the team wants to ensure opposing defenses have to account for DK Metcalf at all times, but it's going to be hard to find him because we're going to send him all over the field across all formations. That's what you want to hear. This feels like a really one-dimensional player, right? In terms of what we've been given over the past couple of years. He's downfield. Hey, DK, go long. Let's throw a couple streaks up to DK and let him do some sort of 50-50 jump ball competition. But now we're going to see him expand his route tree, cut across the middle of the field, be open in different spaces we've never seen him. And we can't say he can't do it. We just haven't seen him do it. Look, as much as we like Pete Carroll in some ways in what he brought to the game for so many years, this guy's a dinosaur. And we talked about this on the show the other day, the teams that are turning things around in the NFL, the younger coaches, and even if they're not younger coaches, you're bringing in an OC that's as valuable as the head coach. And I think that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing, okay, look, Maybe Bill Belichick can't hang in this NFL. Maybe Sean Payton can't hang in this NFL. You can laugh at that all you want. We'll see if Harbaugh can. Okay, this is a different NFL. This is one where I believe it's the key component to a good coaching tree and coaching staff is to have that diversity across the entire gauntlet of positions. And I think that you've got a Ryan Grubb in here with the hard-nosed Mike McDonald, and it's like having 2 head coaches. DK Metcalf to the moon. This becomes that secret weapon. You're taking him a little early in the 3rd round if you don't like the wide receivers that are there. And you could say that's too high. You could say whatever. This is a number 1 wide receiver for his team. This is a guy that can easily pull in 10 to 14 touchdowns total this year in a Ryan Grubb 3 wide receiver set, air it out offense that Penix Jr. just commanded into an absolute arsenal aerial attack. Ryan Grubb's that guy. Ryan Grubb's the kind of guy that Chicago should have been after instead of Shane Waldron. Yeah, Shane Waldron from Seattle goes to Chicago. They bring in Ryan Grubb. What a move. What a move. DK to the mother freaking moon. DK to the mother freaking moon. JSN to the moon. Shoulder injury. He's okay. The news is confirmed. He's okay. There was the scare of the shoulder. He's fine. Don't worry about it. This is interesting. The Jets traded down 1 spot with the Vikings. The Rams got on the phone with the Jets and offered their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks to move up to number 11, along with a 6th rounder. The Jets still wouldn't budge. The Rams' target was, in fact, Brock Bowers. Rams are trying to get Brock Bowers, which is interesting, which is really interesting. How would that have affected Puka and Kupp a lot? So that it's such a crazy, and they wanted it bad. They were like, they showed this clip. You can watch an entire clip. I'll put it on my Instagram soon, at least in my stories. And it's crazy to hear how aggressive they really wanted Brock Bowers. But hey, that's what McVay does. McVay knows his players. He knows ball, and he's an absolute genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. Jayden Daniels signing his 4-year deal, $37 million, $24.3 million guaranteed. This is a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Smitty, we can't have that top 5. He hasn't taken a snap yet.
You want to be a waiting Walden? You want to be I'm going to sit back and hope it's good, George? You want to be a careful Caleb? You want to be a worried William, a petrified Peter? That's up to you. That's not us. Not on my watch.
Let him cook.
Jayden's going to cook. Ben Sinnott's going to cook. This entire Washington Commander team is going to, I think, blow a lot of people's minds. And people saying, it's Washington. It's Washington, Smitty. We heard the same thing from all of you regretful Rogers that came in here and said, Smitty, you're wrong about the Bengals. Even Hugh Jackson, former Browns coach, I invite on my show. And he tells me how wrong I am. And I say, I think maybe we're on the same page. You like Jamar Chase? We're not. We're not on the same. It's Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell. It does. You can't protect Joe Burrow by drafting Jamar Chase. Dare I say that is wrong? Dare I say stretching the field protects Joe Burrow in an indirect fashion more than drafting anybody else? And boy, was I right. They made the Super Bowl that year. You got a lot of nerve coming in here telling me I don't know my ball. And I'm telling you right now, this man right here is a top 5 quarterback. You can be petrified. You can say ridiculously scared little things like,
He hasn't even taken a snap, Smitty.
or you can say,
Oh, but Smitty, he had so many good wide receivers.
oh, you can say, Smitty,
Caleb Williams, look at the team he has.
I like Washington overall more from a personnel perspective, especially coaching, than the Chicago Bears. Number 1, the Chicago Bears. When's the last time they developed a quarterback? Why would you like that situation better? Give me the Washington Commanders all day. Give me that team for Jayden Daniels than the Chicago Bears. And the proof is in the content, because I said all along I hope to God he does not go to Chicago. I would swap him if you paid me. I wouldn't hit a button if I could. I wouldn't move Jayden Daniels on any other team in the National Football League if there was a button right in front of me. This is his team. And he's going to be a top 5 QB. And everybody that's sitting here thinking that he's not the number 1, that Caleb is the number 1, Caleb isn't even the second best quarterback in this rookie QB class. This guy heads and shoulders above everybody else. And he just signed his deal, and he deserves every penny of it. And soon, dare I say, we'll be reflecting on this moment 3 years from today, talking about him getting an $80 million a year annual salary, because that's probably where the quarterback number will be at that point. It's breaching 60 right now. It goes up 20% every year. We're probably every 2 years. We're probably looking at $80 million is what this guy's going to sign when he re-ups his deal. Jayden Daniels to the mother freaking moon. The Fives are back. The Fives are doing it live.
There are 2 5s? JD 5, AR 5? There can't be.
Oh no. They're gonna cross streams.
Imagine thinking Caleb Williams was better than Jayden Daniels. Imagine thinking that this statement isn't true, that Jayden Daniels is the better pocket quarterback. Imagine not knowing, running your mouth about Caleb and not knowing that this man was the best pocket passer in college football last year. Imagine not knowing that this guy was the number 1 QB in the pocket in the last 10 years in college football. Imagine not knowing any of that.
You've just been Smitty disapproved. Get lambed.
Some people just have no clue. They don't. They don't have any ability to be unbiased. They have no ability to look their team in the mirror and say, what are we doing here? I think that's it for the news. There wasn't a ton of it to go over. I wanted to do this Puka Nacua, who's the next Puka Nacua situation. And again, for those that didn't watch the beginning, rewatch it. But these are the most likely, as of right now, and this list can expand for sure, the most likely candidates. Obviously, I'll put Jayden Baker on here as well.
Motion detected at the front door.
He definitely deserves to be on here as well. Let me put Jayden Baker on here. He's one of my favorites, actually. So for me to leave him off is a shame on me. Jayden Baker, boom. That's probably my go-to list right now. Kind of not in order necessarily, because Ricky and Jermaine Burton are the top two, but then between McMillan, Corley, and Baker, it's tough. It's a tough, close call for me. Absolutely love all 5 of these guys. They feel like the best chance to be Puka Nacua. Now, will we get another Puka Nacua? Not exactly, not entirely. I don't think we'll get the record-breaking numbers, but Puka Nacua, the next Puka Nacua is very, very, what's the word? Very like a tall order. You know, it's not like we're going to get that exact version, but it does indicate and signify and represent like the monster unknown, right? And these guys all have unknown feeling to them. And if you don't think Malachi Corley does, because he's the biggest name of this crew, Pearsall is starting to climb, he's going in that territory. It doesn't matter if people recognize him. He's well in double-digit rounds. These are all double-digit round players. These are guys going in the, as I put up on screen, the crazy, ridiculous, look at this, the ADP, 140-plus territory, Ricky Pearsall. Jermaine Burton at 148. This is a great territory. And Dotson at 133, I might remind you. Today on the field, look, I know I keep pumping up JD5. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop! You think I'm going to stop? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Because a lot of you think that I'm here. A lot of you think I'm here to regurgitate.
Alert. Maximum levels reached. Prepare for transformation. Alert. Maximum levels reached. Prepare for transformation.
Time for a Smitty rant.
Well, yeah, it's time. It's time to talk a little something about what people are saying over and over. Okay, about a few of you at least, a few of you. This is for you. Okay, Smitty,
You keep repeating yourself. You keep talking about Caleb Williams. This is weird. This is getting weird, Smitty. Hey, Smitty, you're talking about JD5 a lot. Can we get some new content?
listen here, you complaining Caleb. I go live more than anybody you know. I'm talking for sometimes 2.5, 3 hours on just one of my shows per day. I have an open phone line where you can call in and request any topic you want. And just because you hear a redundancy of Jayden Daniels, JD5, a redundancy of don't go near Caleb, which is my job. If I see somebody I don't think is going to be the player that they're being propped up to be, it is my job. If I'm right or wrong, I'll be judged for it. Every year I am. I accept that. But it's my job. If I don't believe Caleb's going to be good, if I think he's going to crumble, it's my job. I'll continue to say no, 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 no Caleb, no Caleb, no Caleb. Over and over and over. Why? Because it's my job. I'll continue to talk about JD5 because apparently people aren't fully listening. But does that mean all I do is talk JD5? All I do is talk Caleb? I know I've done a little bit of it on my Instagram over and over repetitively, but that's because you know why? People say stop. And I say no, I'll do what I want. If I want to create 3 JD5 videos in a row, I'm creating 3 JD5 videos in a row. No one's taking a roll call. You don't have to show up for every video, but hey, you can call into the phone line anytime you want and ask about whatever you want. Not to mention, I have about 2 hours of alternative content on every single live stream. Maybe 30 minutes of it, we repeat something. Maybe 30 minutes of it, we repeat. Not in the same way, in a new way. We have new JD5 information today. JD5 threw a freaking dime pass over to Dotson today. That's new. Everything's new. Caleb Williams says he wants to win 8 Super Bowls. He's coming after Tom Brady's record. That's ridiculous and new. And it gets people wilding and they're glazing. And there's this footage. Where's my football? Where's my football? There it is. And they're glazing. There's this play that's all over the internet right now where Caleb drops back, okay? And he throws this ball that people say is a dime. And there's like there's a rookie page, there's a NFL like news page and a couple others that put that like whoa emoji and said, "Wow, what a dime by Caleb." Obviously, they're Bear fans. DJ Moore, was it DJ Moore? DJ Moore was looking for the ball, and he literally stopped, and he waited, and the ball came like that, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, did you see that dime?" And then it goes viral, and then people are glazing over and over. So I come back, and I say, do I have to do this again? Here I go. Here's a video of Caleb. And he's not throwing a dime. He's throwing a trash can pass, a hospital ball. And I'm here. My job is to say, no, not on my watch. Not on my watch. And I'll continue to do it. As I will talk about JD5 over and over.
There are 2 5s? JD5, AR5? There can't be.
Oh no. They're gonna cross streams.
Phone lines are open for all you Ricky Pearsall believers or disbelievers. Your boy is here to answer the call. Dial into the bat phone, which is right on screen at the top right, brought to you by theattic.shop.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
It is very, very hilarious to me that people, they literally complain about everything. Grandpa was right when he said you can please some of the people some of the time, all the people some of the time, but never all the people all the time. Boy, was Grandpa right. And it's part of my job. I'm not necessarily complaining. I think I'm passionate about how I clap back about it, but at the end of the day, it is a wild notion that people actually say, Smitty, can you create some new content? Have you looked at my channel? Do you look around at other people and say, God, Smitty's live about 4 to 5 hours a day, and there is new content outside of any content you may deem to be something we've touched on before that still overwhelmingly beats every other content creator out there. We create more content and live stream hours, and now with the video uploads that I've been doing on top of that, than anybody. There's no one that stands a chance. There's people out there that have editors and producers and big channels that have 4 hosts and 3 editors and 4 production teams. This is a one-man band, and we're outdoing everybody.
You've just been
I think I didn't open the phone line yet. Hold on, that's why maybe we do need a producer. I'm just kidding. All right, super chats, phone lines are open. Dan Tanner, are you still here? Hedges, are you still here? Matthew, I'm sorry that the super chats waded through my rant. Please confirm if you're still here. Dan, Hines, and Hedge, please let me know you're here so I can address your comments and attack this accordingly. Dan, with the $20 hauler, you get a $20 hauler celebration, you monster.
Alert. Super chat alert. Alert. Super chat alert.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you for dropping the 20 watt on screen. Dan says, hey, bro, keep up the great work. Wish I could make live shows more often. Working night shift sucks. Well, you can hear me in your ear, right? Also, keep in mind we're on Spotify, so you can listen to a replay, too, while you're working, if that works better than having the YouTube app open. Listening to the show every day, every night keeps me sane. Appreciate you enjoying the Patreon. All right, Dan Tanner's on the Patreon, by the way. You guys can be, too. That link is pinned in the live chat. Dan to the mother freaking moon. Dan the man. Matthew, Drake, and Baker are going to be CJ and Tank of this year's best ball drafts. Drake and Baker. Okay. I like that. He's talking Javon Baker and Drake London, by the way. So yeah, I mean Drake London is he's going in the top 12 though. So I don't know if he qualifies as that type of player necessarily, but I think you could say he's the player that exploded that was a third rounder or fourth rounder last year potentially, but he's going in the top 12. So hard to kind of say he's a Tank Dell, but London's going to the moon, bro. Smitty to the moon. No, Hedge, you to the moon.
To the moon.
Thank you for the super chat. If anybody's got another super chat, drop it on screen. I am monitoring the super chats right now versus before I was ranting. So does he mean Drake May? Oh, Drake May. I got you. That makes sense now. That makes sense. Let me pull that back up. Drake and Baker. Sorry, if you put the full names instead of just, sometimes I have too many names running through my head. Drake May and Javon Baker are going to be the CJ Stroud and Tank Dell of this year's best ball drafts. Now I got you. And I don't know that I agree with the Drake May part this year, but I do believe Javon Baker is a boss, bro. But you could be right. You could be right. Drake May starting to look better and better every day. He's starting to look really, really good. Everybody with their nicknames is hard to keep up. Drake is usually Drake London when we talk about him, so kind of threw me off there for a second. Phone lines are open. Dial in. I did open them finally.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
And I did kind of, I think, deceive you. I do have a co-host and producer. His name's Ziggy. Are you my producer and co-host?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Never mind. I don't have anybody. It's just me. Hey Ziggy, you're pretty worthless, bro. He can't even respond to that. Ziggy, did you hear me? I said you're worthless, bro. He didn't even respond. Ziggy, tell me a joke.
Where does chocolate milk come from?
Where?
A dairy cacao.
Sweet, bro. Ziggy off. Don't ever turn on again. Rockout says, check the DM. Rockout's dropping fire in the DMs, apparently. Let's go ahead and check it out. I imagine this is about Ricky Pearsall, but we'll see. Let's see what he does.
We go Ricky. He be going like Ric Flair. Give me a woo. You can't hold these alligators down, Rick in the building.
What? And screwing touchdowns. Alligators. I love it. What are we doing back there, Rockout? You're a songbird. Voice of an angel. Javon Baker has the type because of his talk. Polk is one that outworks, says Jumpin' John. I mean, I'm not trying to rule out the idea that Polk is the number one wide receiver there. But Javon Baker's the one that I'm rooting for. He's such an exciting guy. So much reminds, I think, all of us of a little bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Same thing with Burton a little bit. Jermaine Burton feel very Amon-Ra St. Brown-like there as well. Ricky Pearsall is the one that feels more Puka and Cooper Kupp to me, which is why I think he qualifies so well for that. But I do think that there's a whole lot of appeal for all four of those guys, all five of these guys on the screen right here. Roman Wilson. Yeah, I don't mind Roman. I don't have him above these five, but he's certainly in the mix. Do you have a question for Ziggy? He doesn't answer comments. Yeah, he doesn't. Ziggy, are you here just so you're not fined? He doesn't even answer questions. Ric Flair. Look at Rock Out just dropping fire. Rock Out coming in hot, says Silver Rapture. Yeah, buddies. Yeah, I'm not Roman. Look, Roman Wilson's okay. I'm kind of in agreement with Travis here. I like him. I don't dislike him, but I agree with Travis. He's getting very overrated. Like a lot of people putting him in that huge breakout, top 2 or 3 wide receiver like capability territory. And I mean, is it Pickens or is it not? If Pickens is the guy, I don't think we could see Roman Wilson have that kind of year. He could have a very good year, but I don't think he's capable of being what we're trying to describe here, like overtaking the entire team. Ricky Pearsall has the ability. Now, Jermaine Burton can't because he's got Jamar Chase there, but it is a different QB situation in a high octane. This is kind of like Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. And even I was a little bit down on what Addison could do, and there was enough volume to go around. That was one I was wrong about. But now that that's not there, the Cousins effect is not in play. There's no room for Addison to be what he was. And I think that, Joe Burrow can definitely feed. We've seen it. Higgins has done well. Burton becomes a number 2 there. He's outperforming some low-end wide receiver ones for some teams. This is the way I look at it. Rockout says, Ziggy, who is Ricky Pearsall? Ziggy, who is Ricky Pearsall?
I Just Can't is a single by Ricky Pearson, which was released on May
Ziggy
18th,
off. He doesn't know. He's that big of a sleeper. You gotta love how big of a sleeper is Ricky Pearsall when Ziggy doesn't even know who he is. That's what you know is up. That's when you're getting jiggy with it, Ziggy. And that boy with a $2 hauler. Chihuahua's back on Underdog promo code Smitty. That's right, my guy. Guys, get on over to Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Smitty. Do it live. Here's the link right here. Drop it like it's hot. Get in there. I'll pin that link. We're drafting most midnights. We'll probably be back tonight at some point, I imagine, to do a draft, so hang tight. I can't promise what time. It could be one of the later ones that we do, or it's a little bit past midnight. But hit that link. I pinned it in the live chat. Jump into an Underdog draft. Sign up ahead of time. Use code Smitty. They'll give you 50% of your first deposit, up to $250, using that link or using code Smitty. The link's in the description if you're watching a replay of this show. Do it live. And love how no one talks about Leggett. Look, Leggett, we did earlier, Chris. You weren't here, at least in the comments when this video was talking. Leggett is definitely like at the tail end of this. No doubt about it. Really like what he's got going on, but I think because he still feels like he's got some work to do. Like I like him a lot, but I think that to pop this year as much as, let's say, a Pearsall could if, let's say, Debo or Ayuk were removed from the situation, which is kind of what today's show was about, that it just feels like something like that's going to happen. Now, it may not, but the good news is Ricky's going in double-digit rounds, like 150 to 160, 145 territory, so there's no expectation. You could literally draft Ricky Pearsall at 150 and await an injury and say, look, this is kind of one of those bold moves. And I even love cuffing him to Debo or to Ayuk, which could turn out to be 2 starting wide receivers if a trade goes down. And if it doesn't, it's one of the most secure, weird wide receiver handcuffs, and there are not very many in the league that make sense from a fantasy perspective. So Jermaine Burton, tough to say how well he'll play. And Higgins holding out right now, or not coming in, not signing his deal, still a holdout of sorts. Him not showing up right now is putting him in jeopardy of having a down year or an injury-plagued season. Jalen McMillan's in no real good position now. That's a tough spot. Malachi Corley in a very good position. This is why these aren't necessarily in order past Burton and Ricky Pearsall. But Malachi Corley's in a fantastic position. He could be the second person on the list because he's potentially walking into the week one starting second wide receiver role because Mike Williams is nowhere near ready. So are they just going to give the job to Mike Williams after Corley's earned it? Not on Aaron Rodgers' watch. And Javon Baker's, he's just exciting. He needs to obviously pop. He needs to explode. He needs to just like burst out onto the scene to pass everybody and have a thriving situation in 2024. But those are all very, very good candidates. These are candidates that people mentioned during the stream. I just want to make sure everybody knew. Very, very high on all these guys. But Ricky does feel like the top dog to me. And some of it is stemming around that I just get a vibe that the Jawan Jennings extension, the drafting of Pearsall to begin with, the drafting of him way early in round one to ensure that they have the fifth-year option makes me feel like this is a move that's inevitable. And on top of that, trying to trade both of those wide receivers, Debo and Ayuk, as I gave in the example of the video, imagine if any of you went to work and you found out your employer tried to trade you to another company. They tried really hard and they couldn't do it. Imagine how you feel moving forward in that environment. It would be quite weird. And I think that despite being professionals that deal with this kind of thing all the time, you know, that's usually what people will say to that. It's thank you for that comment, by the way, that boy. Appreciate you. And then Dan with this super chat here. It's still going to hurt you. It's still going to make you want out. It's still going to make you want to be respected. And if you're Ayuk, you're probably wanting a deal from a different team, you know, at some point. I'm not saying he doesn't want to stay. I'm just saying he's exploring that. Like in his mind, he's picturing that. He's probably saying, you know what? Smitty is in the Patreon. Can I be in the league now? Yes, Wild Bill, you'll be in the league if you're in the Patreon. Anybody that's going to make it by midnight tonight is going to definitely be in. Maybe even midnight tomorrow. 12-team PPR, and then I'm going to go to the phone lines. 12-team PPR Superflex sent my 2024 2.1 for Achane. He countered with Achane and Kelsey for my 2.1, 4.1, and Dalton Schultz. I hit accept. Who got who? Wait a minute. You wanted to send your 2.1 for Achane. He said, let me also give you Kelsey. You only have to give me your 4.1. I'm assuming these are rookie picks. If these are veteran picks, is a whole different thing, but I don't think it is. And Dalton Schultz, of course you hit accept on that. What in the hell was this guy thinking? You absolutely trashed him to a million pieces, bro. You got him hardcore. Where's my got him button when I need it?
Got him.
And then the last super chat, then the phone lines. Even Jimmy G said he can throw better than Caleb, says Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe it. I believe it. And Caleb Williams, the three things that stood out recently that are completely new is Caleb wanting to start a investment firm. This guy's just getting going. I'm not saying he doesn't, like, I get it. But like, if you're going to use your name to go into the investment business, shouldn't you play a snap in the NFL? Shouldn't you get that personal brand like off the ground before you start trying to create an investment firm? The fact that he wants ownership of the team in a way, he wants an investment firm, he wants 8 Super Bowl rings. This guy's putting the cart before the horse everywhere. The focus on football. And then the other thing, the fact that this guy's, you know, underthrowing his wide receivers like crazy right now. It's not just one pass. We're watching Jayden Daniels thread a needle every time he's out there, throwing it into a hole this big. Jayden Daniels looks like a freaking magician putting on a masterclass. And Caleb's looking very, very shoddy. Thank you, Rockout. Appreciate you. Ron Navy, you're live.
You sure?
Am I sure?
Yeah, are you sure?
What do you mean?
Well, I know you and Travis are tied at the hip, but why is it Malachi Corley, Ricky Harris, these other wide receivers are so great at
Ron, do we always have to go through Steelers? Do we always have to go through Steelers stuff? It's like everyone in here knows. Everyone in here knows. Ron, you just got through telling us how Pickens is going to be the best thing ever. Now it's Roman Wilson. Now it's like I get you love the Steelers, but Ron, you can't come in and just say.
What the hell? How come you can have Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley, you can have Pearsall, Ayuk, and Samuels, and they're all good together. You can't have Pickens and Roman Wilson? What the hell? You can only have one guy on the Steelers? What the heck's up with that?
It's not a bad point. Well, but here's the thing, Ron. I mean, touche on the comparables. Touche on the comparables. But just because I have him, and I mentioned him, I said it in the live chat. I said Roman when we were watching it through that Roman Wilson is definitely in the conversation. But the problem is if I don't have the exact order you want, like when I say I like Hollywood and Jayden Reed as much as I like Pickens, maybe slightly more than I like Pickens, but I love Pickens in that rotation of player. Like if I'm drafting, you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let it go. You went on a tirade during the whole show, and because I got.
You basically trashed Roman Wilson.
I didn't trash Roman Wilson. I just said I don't believe.
I love Corley's situation. I love Pearsall's situation. I love all these guys that have 2 or 3 wide receivers in front of them. But
I'm not as big of a fan of Roman Wilson, Ron. I'm just not. I like him. I like him. Doesn't mean I think he could be the next Puka Nacua. The odds of any of these guys being Puka Nacua is like slim to none. What Puka did was you can't even.
Travis makes a little comment in the chat. Oh, he's overrated. And then you're like, I tend to agree with Travis. He's overrated.
So because I agree with what Travis said, which is probably one of the first times anybody's seen that reaction to it. Hold on. When's the last time Travis has said anything? When's the last time Travis has said anything in a chat that I've been like, I'm just gonna pile on that? Like, first of all, Ron, give me more credit. I think for myself. I don't go off anybody. I don't go off anybody. I don't got, like, even when I know you're on the phone line, even after you drop a $20 super chat, I'm not sugarcoating shit. Right. I think for myself.
Jumping John, he is taking snaps out of the slot. They're working the slot.
But Ron, to insinuate that I'm even going off of what Travis is saying, not that no offense, Travis, but I don't go off what anybody says, Ron. I go off what I say.
Said it. You saw his comment and you went right
because that's how I felt. So Ron, what are you doing?
What the hell?
What are you doing? What's going on here? What's going on? Just because your Pittsburgh Steelers took a little bit of a shot in my little rant here. Just a little bit of a shot when I said I don't think Roman Wilson's as good of a prospect as 5 guys right here. You have a shit fit over it. It's like, can it just be a difference of opinion? Why can't I like Roman Wilson 7 or 8 on this list? Why does he have to be 5 or 6? Just because you like him?
But you don't have to downplay him. Like
I don't have to do what. Ron, I'm not downplaying anybody. This is my show. I'm going to say what I feel about the players. I'm not downplaying anything. I'm telling you how I feel. And I've been wrong. I'm not saying I'll be right on every one of these. I'm not saying anything. But if you think I'm going to sugarcoat something a certain way, I'm not. And if you think I see Travis's comment and I'm going to be like, oh, that's Travis. I got to agree with Travis right now. I pulled Travis's comment on.
Last year either, did you?
You what?
You didn't sugarcoat Addison last year either, did you?
I mean, what are we even talking about here, Ron? You're getting bent out of shape because I said Roman Wilson's not 5th on my list or 4th on my list, and you're getting bent out of shape over it.
No numbers on your list. You didn't mention any numbers on your list. You just went down. And you
Ron,
said
You're taking this way too personal. You're taking it way too personal. Just like yesterday when someone said something about Calvin Austin. It's like, how many wide receivers? Anybody on the Steelers takes a little bit of a nudge or hey, I don't know how he's going to be yet. Hey, I don't like Russell Wilson spreading the ball out. When Fields gets in, it's a whole different conversation. Fields isn't yet in the lineup. Things are going to change. Not to mention, I just don't love Roman Wilson. I don't love him. I don't hate him, but I don't love him. He's never going to be one of my favorite players. I wasn't enamored with him coming out of college. Could that change? Abso-freaking-lutely. That's why I don't crap on him. But when I say I don't think his situation, in my opinion, is as good as Malachi Corley's, and I even preface that McMillan's not really in a good situation right now. This is more about talent. I said Javon Baker's got to really earn to get in his situation. I said all this right before you came on. I said Javon Baker's not even in that great of a situation. It's more about if that talent's there, it's got to explode through. I said all of that. The only one that has potentially, if all goes the way I kind of feel it's going to go, and I said I don't even know if it will, is that it feels like Ricky Pearsall somehow, some way is going to get into the starting lineup. I don't know that the Niners are going to leave this alone. It doesn't feel right. That's what we're talking about.
Can I address?
No one hates Roman Wilson, Ron.
Can I address the overrated thing? Because Ron was just saying in the chat, I said overrated. To me, overrated doesn't mean a guy is bad. It's that I'm hearing from, a lot of people in the chat too, and it's their right to like Roman Wilson more than me, and I could be wrong on him, but I think he's probably more like a wide receiver 3 in a good offense, and overrated. I'm hearing some people say he's like a complete stud, or he's going to tear it up this year, and I don't feel that. That's just my opinion.
Go ahead, Ron.
No, what I was saying is when he was drafted, they were talking about how underrated he is, how much potential he actually has, that he could be one of the biggest steals in the draft as far as the wide receivers go, because he's very underrated.
But I think
not overrated.
But I think what you're missing here is not about that. It's about that in fantasy. It's in fantasy.
He goes way down like the rest of them.
Yeah.
In fantasy, Travis is saying he feels that this little hype train on him he's overrated. He has every right to feel that way. There's nothing wrong with that. That's an opinion.
Well,
and just because I pull his hold on. Just because I pull his comment on screen, you insinuate that me and Travis are attached at the hip, and whatever he says goes.
I didn't see you pull his comment on screen. I read it in the chat.
I know, but I pulled his comment on screen, and I said. And I said, I agree with this. I agree with this. I pull people's comments on screen whenever I agree with it or disagree with it. That's part of the show. But I'm just saying, when you insinuate that I'm going to dictate my content around somebody else, I'm not. Even if it's you, Ron. Like,
if I don't stand up for the Steelers, nobody else will.
Well,
I'm going to stand up for them.
I'm always backing I'm always backing how they had one of the better drafts. I'm talking about Fields taking the starting job. I'm talking about how this Najee Harris and Warren are a great situation this year. I'm pumping the Steelers up pretty good, and I always preface I'm not doing this for Ron. But the one time I say I like Hollywood and Jayden Reed slightly over Pickens, because I feel like Pickens is a question mark right now, which is very reasonable, Ron. Very reasonable coming off of last year. It's very reasonable. It doesn't matter if it could go the way you think it's going to go. That's a reasonable take. And to think Hollywood Brown, who's looking so good, and all you keep saying is Hollywood Brown didn't do it last year. Look at the numbers last year. No one gives a shit about the numbers last year, because Hollywood Brown wasn't in the role he's in right now, and he's cooking in practice. And it's anybody's right to feel.
And you think Pickens is in the role that he was last year? No. So you just said it right there. Hollywood Brown wasn't in the role he was in last year. Either is Pickens in the same role he was last year.
Then make that argument. Then make that argument.
Same thing.
Then make that argument. That's fine. Okay, great. But like, you have a problem with it. You like going a tirade over it. But anyway, no one's hating on Roman Wilson.
You always take my passion. You always take my passion. Being over whatever.
And you
take
my.
I'm like, I rake all this up. I'm not
and you
pissed
take
off.
take my clap back as something personal, and it's not. It's just it's me hitting the content back. It's not anything personal. We never usually leave a live stream trying to carry that over. But I'm just saying your comment that wasn't passion. Okay, but when you said, I know you and Travis are attached to the hip, that comment right there is what triggered what you heard from me, because that's insinuating that I'm not going to come out here and have a piece of content I don't believe in. That's the part that had me clap back. There's nobody's comment safe in here. Nobody's comment's going to dictate what kind of content I produce, nor do I care what, no offense to Travis or anybody, nor do I care what anybody thinks. I don't. I'm gonna tell you what I think of a player for right or wrong, and I'm wrong all the time. I'm wrong all the time. It happens.
You do care what people think. You say it all the time. All right. You care what people think. You care what the chat thinks.
Okay, you know what I'm saying, Ron. You know what I'm saying, Ron. I'm not gonna take my content and doctor it up and put it in a little box with a bow or a ribbon. Or that if somebody on the phone line or one of my moderators wants me to talk good about somebody, how many times do I rip on JJ McCarthy and Sick Nasty? Is poor guy sitting in here every single day. Sick Nasty has to hear me rip on.
I never told you that.
Huh?
I never told you to doctor up your.
But Ron, when you insinuate, I know you're attached to the hip, and when that comment comes in, you just agree with it. That is insinuating that. That is insinuating that there's something ungenuine about my commentary or my prediction or my content. And I'm just saying, I'm going at it. All right, let's move on. Marsman Rockout's live on the phone line. Marsman Rockout, what is up, my pal, my good buddy? Attach it at the hip. Rock out.
I love you.
Now, whatever Rockout sings, I love. How's that?
That's
you do. Second that.
Go ahead, Rockout. I wish you'd sing live more, though.
Yeah, far as Caleb, I think in my mind, he's a bust. I thought he was a bust even before the draft. He never really played any good competition, and this financial gaming and all that, he's either going to be great or a big downfall, in my opinion.
And this is not because Ron's on the phone or that I owe Ron any sort of. This is just me being real and genuine. Ron was the first person to ever trash Caleb on this show. Let me see if I can fix this. He called in. I remember him calling in like, God, I don't know if it was in November or October.
Yeah.
And he said, This guy's gonna fail. Don't like his attitude.
Not a team player.
Which I will say, Ron, that was easy to get on board very quickly. Attached at the hip, no, but
attached at the hip.
Caleb is God, there's so many red flags. I don't understand. I just don't know if the people are so the people that are so loud are just all Chicago Bear fans. Like, you know what I mean? You can't even tell sometimes, because I don't know very many. I guess if you're like a DJ Moore fantasy owner, like a dynasty owner, or if you were a prospective, you like DJ Moore a lot, you like Keenan Allen a lot. I wonder how many people that aren't attached to Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, or the Chicago Bears truly like Caleb. I wish I could see that percentage. It's kind of like, if you had a bunch of haters, right? The haters are very loud. But if you were to gather everybody that watches you or knows your name into a stadium, like this is probably how Taylor Swift feels. Like you have this stadium full of people. Okay, here's the stadium. That there's so many people that absolutely love Taylor Swift. They think she's the best ever. And then there's like these very loud people at the front. And it just seems like this entire crowd is against her. But it really, at the end of the day, is this fractional, small, minute amount of people that hate her. And she just takes it, hard. And that's the way it is for anything. But I wonder if these people that are right here that are taking it so hard are just kind of doing what Ron did on the phone line, like trying to defend the honor of the Bears or their DJ Moore shares or whatever, because it does feel like sometimes the pro Caleb people are louder than the anti Caleb people, and it gives a weird measurement. You can't tell what the temperature is truly across most people. You hit Twitter, you're going to see negative stuff about everybody. But I don't know. Whenever there's a Caleb Williams post by like Schefter or Rappaport, and let's say there's a JD5 post or something, or even a Drake May post, you'll see negative throughout, right? You'll see rival fan bases, having their words. But when you go into a Caleb post, it is nothing but negative when it's completely separate from the Bears fan base. It's crazy. I just wonder how many people truly believe in him that are untied to it.
Like, are you talking about Super Bowls already?
Yeah, see, that's just a stupid comment. And then someone could say, this is what a Bear fan or a pro Caleb person would say, I like that he's motivated to beat Tom Brady's 8 Super Bowls. That shows he's hungry and determined. But what a stupid comment. You should be humble about it and go, hey, you know what? Like, I'm not even going to go there. I need to get the starting job. I need to learn this game. I can't be talking about beating Tom Brady. Like, what a dumb comment. What a stupid objective to put out there. Maybe in your head, you're like, I want to be the best ever. Sure. But why don't you focus on football when you're starting up your investment firm, you're doing all these, the Hollywood's coming out again. Like, it's just glaring. This guy's all about show, and he's going to, unfortunately, be attracted to the spotlight in a way that's going to distract him.
I think beyond like the poor play and stuff, like he's just coming across as not a serious person.
Yeah.
Like you can't take him seriously with anything. And that's a big problem for a quarterback if you're going to try and lead a team, especially as a rookie.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Do you guys?
Total opposite.
What'd you say?
I said JD5 total opposite the way he carries himself.
Yeah, you hear about him being the first person in the building, the last person to leave. What if you walked up to JD5 and you go, hey, his agent walked up to him and said, let's start an investment firm right now. Let's start having some meetings and putting a lot of time in discussion and eating up a lot of your spare time talking about creating an investment firm. What's he know about investments already? You know what I mean? Like kid just got into the league, just got money. Not saying he did. Maybe he had a good investment or something. I don't know. But what's he know about an investment firm? And he's going to start developing that. JD5 would say, look, buddy, I'm going through like practice right now, learning my offense. This is something we can discuss maybe down the road. But let me become a player in the NFL first. JD5's there to work. I can guarantee you JD5 would look at that different. I mean, this is wild.
Yeah, and if there was anything like that going on, he wouldn't be talking about it in the public. Like, if there's any type of business venture that was going to come through in the future, he wouldn't be just talking about it in the public. He'd probably be, get it set up and worry about football first,
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Ricky Pearsall went to ASU for a couple of years. Brandon Ayuk, ASU. JD5, ASU. Rashad White, ASU. ASU never used to produce
something in the water.
Yeah, there's a lot of good talent. I mean, in some cases though, like in JD5 and Pearsall, they didn't explode there. They went elsewhere. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that players get plucked from there to go become something too. ASU can hold a player back too. That's kind of why they're not like a team that I think you have enough ability to flourish. So like you see talent there and then you get ripped from ASU to go develop. But later, Dan, we'll see you later, bro.
Wasn't it ASU that almost beat Caleb?
I think so.
This year?
Ziggy. Let me ask Ziggy. Ziggy, what was the Arizona State versus USC score last year? He won't get this. That's too complicated.
On Saturday, September 23rd, USC football defeated Arizona State 42-28.
Okay.
By the way, you have a new notification.
Ziggy off.
What was the Arizona game then?
One
of those two, one of their teams almost beat Caleb. Bad.
Maybe AU.
Defense. I can't remember if it was ASU or AU.
Yeah. But anyway, I still wonder if Washington's going to put their hat in the ring for an Ayuk trade or a Debo trade, but we'll see. I think they're fine the way they are right now, but I mean Dotson. I don't know if anybody saw that dime pass that JD5 threw to Dotson today in practice. I got a little clip of it, but it was unreal. They just look so good. This duo. I'm super excited about. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it was Arizona, 43-41.
I mean, I got it on I'll put it on my Instagram, but there's this dime pass thrown to Dotson in the back of the end zone. It was like, oh, JD5 looks so good. His accuracy is better than anybody's. His accuracy, and that's what you're hearing in practice right now. People are saying like the ball doesn't hit the ground. It's pinpoint accurate. Where's I got an alert happening. I thought I fixed my alerts. Where is that coming from? Hold on a second.
This year we get a lot better price on Dotson too, and last year we thought Dotson was going to be really good. Hopefully this year he'll be good, but at a cheaper price.
Yeah, Dotson totally is somebody that I think
I draft him all the time.
Yeah, he's going to bounce back. Christian Watson and Dotson, I'm all about drafting this year, giving them a second chance. Let me see if I can get my alerts fixed. I might need somebody to test it. Hold on. What other topics you guys got?
I was just I was calling in on the Pearsall thing just to say before the draft even happened, we were talking about the contracts in San Francisco. We had talked a lot about how, Shanahan could very much feel that he can take one of these talented receivers and right off the bat get, that 70 to 80% of Ayuk or, Devo's production, not what Devo does exactly, but out of it, he would be confident enough he could do that. I think maybe because of the contract situations, we're starting to really see that. They took a guy they like, and now I think they're starting to think, okay, well, whether we trade him or we just don't sign him and they end up walking, or we trade him next off season, we're going to start investing more and more time into this guy and get him right into the offense right away, playing a big part because he's going to replace whoever leaves, which, is kind of obvious, but just the fact you touched on it seems like it's kind of coming to fruition now.
I mean, there's still a chance that Shanahan says, like, look, we'll get rid of him, but we're not going to get rid of him cheap. And if people think we're going to fold and get rid of him, we're not. We'll rather go win a Super Bowl. Like, a Super Bowl is, that's important to him. He'd risk it all, let Ayuk walk next year if it guaranteed him a Super Bowl. Problem is... That's
their best course.
Yeah, problem is, what do you do with Pearsall if you're trying to prepare him for taking the spot of him? You're going to try and get him involved. And right. I don't know that you're missing a beat, to be honest with you. I know this is going to sound crazy bull, but I think you take Ayuk just got into a zone. Like, you take Ayuk out and put Pearsall in. It's my assessment, and we saw Puka Nacua. We've seen other rookie wide receivers be great right away. You don't have to be 2 or 3 years into it to be as good as Ayuk was last year. I can envision Pearsall replacing Ayuk and the offense not missing a beat. I think replacing Debo is harder because Debo does so many things that other players can't do. He's a special one of one. I would get rid of Ayuk if it was me, if it meant we could improve the team. If we could improve the team, so be it. There's some trade talks that involve defensive players and second-round picks that could make that make sense. And maybe the Niners improve their defense in a big way by getting rid of Ayuk and plugging Pearsall in. It's kind of like what we talk about when we say you trade away the third-round pick for a fourth and a fifth rounder, and you say, okay, I'm trading away maybe a player that I'm drafting in round 3 that's a really good wide receiver, but I'm able to get that Cooper Kupp and Mahomes now because I have that fourth rounder and the third rounder instead of the second rounder, or whatever the case may be. Same thing in a similar sense that the Niners can say, I'm trading away Ayuk, but I'm putting Ricky in there, and I'm getting this defensive piece. And good God, if we barely miss a beat with the substitution out of Ricky and Ayuk, and you sign Juwan Jennings, I don't like him, but they apparently do. That's your third wide receiver. Why not go get a defensive piece that helps you win a Super Bowl? So I don't know why they wouldn't explore it. I think they will. It's just going to be one of those things where they're not just going to give them away. And the problem with the Ayuk trade versus the Debo is, again, it comes down to how many people can afford Ayuk now. The Niners crapped the bed. They hung on to him too long, and now he's worth double the price, and no one wants to pay double the price. They would have paid earlier, but the Niners waited too long. And the reason you know that to be true, is because on draft day, what I predicted that was going to happen 12 minutes before, when A.J. Brown's $84 million guaranteed deal got dropped like a masterclass by the Eagles, the moment that happened, then you had rumors circling after I said it that Debo is now the more tradable piece, because that A.J. Brown deal just complicated an Ayuk back-end deal that would need to be agreed upon on a trade from happening. Therefore, now the Niners were forced, their hand was forced to go, we got to trade whichever one we can get rid of. And they tried. So the fact that they tried, you know that they're willing to try again. Why would they draft Pearsall and want to get rid of Debo or Ayuk? And then when the draft's over, they go, never mind, we're moving on. Why would they not still try? They will. It's posturing. They're trying to get people to be like, okay, well, they don't want to trade them, so now we got to pay a little bit. That's all it is.
Quick question, then I'll step back for a while and let other people get in here. I've been talking a lot. In a vacuum, which one would they rather keep on the team long term, do you think? Or short term? I guess just in general, which one do you think they'd rather have on the team and trade, and which one would they rather trade?
I mean, Ayuk, if the price was the same, but at cost of entry on Debo, they'd rather just probably keep Debo. And even if they want to retain Debo, he's not going to require the same deal. He might require a little extra scratch later, but I mean, he doesn't
replace.
Yeah, he's the best yak yardage player in the National Football League. And
he's unique. Yeah.
He's arguably the best yak yardage player in the last 10 years. Like he's one of the best, at least. He's 100% a one of one. Ayuk, as good as he is, as good at routes as he runs, he can be replicated in that system. I'm not saying Ayuk is replaceable necessarily, but he is replaceable in that offense. And it's something that I don't think people want to hear. I've said it for a while. Now Niner fans are starting to say it, though, in comments. They're going, let him go. If he wants $30 million, we don't need him. When earlier they're like, you got to pay Ayuk. He's irreplaceable. And Smitty, you're crazy. He's getting his deal. You'll see he'll get his deal. You'll see you'll be circling back being like a total fool with your tail between your legs when Ayuk gets his contract. And I said, Shanahan and John are going to screw the pooch on this one, sit on their hands for months, and then Ayuk's going to become too expensive. I don't understand why it was so hard to understand that was going to happen. Because exactly what we said was going to happen happened to a T. And now you can't get him, and now the fan base is irate at him. Now he's sitting out, and he's got to make a decision. And the only decision to make for Ayuk is that you can't fold, because if they're offering you $26 million, you can't fold. You play on your fifth-year option. I think he's making, I don't know, I forget if it's like $17 million, $16 million, $18 million, whatever it is. You play that 1 year, fifth-year option out, and then next offseason in a much higher wide receiver marketplace, because it will increase. The moment Lamb, the moment Chase, the moment another 2 or 3 wide receivers sign, and they will, that $26 million will be a ghost town territory. It will be $30 million for mediocre to good wide receivers per year. Like, it will be $30 million. Ayuk could get $30 million easily. He'll be asking for 34 and 33 at that time. He'll get easily what he needs to get later on if he just waits the 1 year. He's going to have to bank on himself. Unless the Niners meet him halfway, they give him 28.5. Here's some incentives. We make a Super Bowl, $500,000. You get 1,500 yards, $500,000. You get 12 touchdowns, $500,000. We make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. Like, give him some incentives that you're more than glad to pay him if you were to get, to a certain point. But that's the only way he's gonna. If the Niners go to 28 and he folds to 28, and there's incentives, he might do it to get it all out of the way and say, I don't want to move, I don't want to do this, I just want to get paid. This is the most money I'll ever see. But it also comes down to the guaranteed money, because if they want to pay him 28 a year, but the guaranteed money's 65, he's gonna say hell no. I mean, maybe he'll take 65. I don't know. 65 mil guaranteed. I mean, I bet you the Niners want to pay him 58. Or less. And the new guaranteed money of JJ's being 110 makes that AJ Brown 84 million guaranteed, the Waddle 76 million guaranteed, the St. Brown 77 million guaranteed. It makes $70 million feel like the bottom. You know what I mean? Like if you're considered a receiver on anywhere near the level of Ayuk, it feels like 70 million guaranteed is now the bottom. I don't think anybody can take 60 when you're watching people get 110. It's just not something that I think is feasible. Rock out. Travis, Ron, you guys got anything else? Phone lines are open if anybody else wants to get in real quick. We're going to probably end the show because I'm going to try and come back and do a stream tonight. So if you guys got anything else, hit me with it.
Yeah, with T-Law's new deal, who you think could be like the number one receiver, Thomas or
Christian Kirk? I'll probably say, the safe money's on Christian Kirk just because he's comfortable, but like I want it to be BT. I want Brian Thomas Jr. I almost want him to avenge Ridley. You know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like that's the way I look at it. Is I want him to get the role Ridley should have been given, and see what T-Law does with it. Christian Kirk is a steady Eddie, safe across the middle, gets the gravy work. But I'm gonna go ahead and say, I'm gonna go ahead and say, give me BT. But I don't know, it's close. It could be one of those things where it's so divvied up. I hear a lot of people say that the Jaguars don't have good receivers and all that. I don't really understand that. They got a pretty good crew. Ingram was a top 5 tight end. I mean, ETN's one of the better receiving backs in the league. Like, I don't know what people are talking about. I'm really rooting for a T-Law bounce back. I really am. I hope that we can. I still have the Law Dog Milk. I have not played it since it does not deserve to be played. And I take, some ownership on that. I take an L on T-Law not being what I wanted him to be. But I really hope we circle back. There was a time where the Kincaid button didn't get pushed anymore. And I remember thinking to myself, like, everyone's given up on him. I really hope that I'm able to hit that button really soon. I believe I will be able to, but good God, Kincaid just kind of tailed off. And then he came back and he pulled in a crazy amount of receptions. Kincaid to the freaking moon. But I have a feeling the T-Law button shouldn't be tucked away too deeply. I'm sorry, T-Law button. Did I say Kincaid? T-Law.
Yeah.
Does anybody on the phone line here think that Kincaid could be the number 1 tight end this year?
I think he can be, yeah. I think he's going to catch 90 balls and, 7 or 8 touchdowns. So he could easily be that. But I also think he's in a group of 4 or 5 that could be the number 1 guy this year. I don't think it's as clear cut as the past.
What were Laporta's final numbers? Let me pull it up here and just see what number. And of course, Laporta could do better or the same. I don't think he'll do worse, but I would say
10 touchdowns.
Yeah,
86 for 889.
I wouldn't say he's a lock to do better because he did so well. I'd say probably like 1,000. Like he could be 1,000-yard tight end though. Let's see here. He had 88. Let's give him 90. We're gonna give this will be Laporta. 90 receptions, 990, and 11 TDs. That's an improvement. Okay, we'll give him an improvement. Do I think Kincaid's gonna be a little bit more lopsided in different ways? I think his touchdown. Well, he could do 10, 11 touchdowns too. Kincaid had a whopping 73 receptions last year. So this is Laporta projection. So this would be Kincaid's projection. So Kincaid, I'm going to write down his numbers from last year, then tweak them. Kincaid was 73, 673, and 2 TDs. I would say let's give him 8 touchdowns. Let's give him 10, and 90 receptions as well. That puts them.
Yeah, I think he gets 90.
That puts him slightly below Laporta still, but like that seems like. So I guess it depends on the touchdowns. Like this is really close.
Yeah.
90, 990. Like that was just me spitballing these numbers. I think the yardage will be higher for Kincaid because he's got so much volume to absorb, where there's a lot of mouths to feed. But like this touchdown potential for Laporta is higher than maybe the touchdown potential here. But then again, who the hell knows what happens this year?
How about McBride? What's your thoughts on him? Like his stat line. He's a little tougher to predict, I think.
Yeah, that's a tough one. McBride last year had.
You see him as kind of like Mark Andrews, like almost.
This is his number last year, 825, 3 TDs though. Kind of makes me wonder if he's capable of having more touchdowns than anybody else, just because last year he should have did it. Let me move it. 'Cause I mean, he's
things like that happen weird too.
Oh, they didn't really use him until later in the year though. So he had 81 receptions though, but they didn't use him the right way until later in the year. But so 3, I think you could turn this into. I got him giving him all 90 receptions, 90. 1,007 or 6. God, we could have 2 or 3 1,000-yard tight ends this year.
That's why I said I think there's 5 or 6 that have a legit chance at the number 1 tight end spot, because and then you still have Kelsey. You don't know, he could just be Kelsey. I mean, last year he was still very good. He just didn't do what he did the year before. You're just inconsistent last year, I guess is the best way to put it.
Kelsey was still 3rd, yeah. I would say Kelsey 80 receptions. I'm going to put him a big drop in receptions. I'm going to put him at 850. But I'm going to say his 5 touchdowns goes up to like 9 or 10. So at the end of the
I think that number bounces back.
At the end of the day, like that's still going to be, better numbers or the same.
Yep.
It's a good group of tight ends right here, man. I mean, it's wild when you think about it. And Kyle Pitts, what in the hell he could do. This is the deepest the tight end pool has ever been.
He's a wild card. Yeah.
Also, Birdie
like
seems to
Mark.
be a good tight end this year.
You what? You what?
What'd you say, Rocco?
I said Ferguson's going to be a good tight end this year as well.
Yeah.
Hey, James, I'm sorry I missed your super chat, bro. If you wanted to win 8 Super Bowls having an investment firm, I'd allow you to take less money on the field. That's what Brady did, James says. James, I'm sorry I missed the comment here. Are you still here, James? My bad, bro. I don't know how that slipped in. All right, boys. Anything else?
Chihuahua 2. You see that?
Yeah.
$4 Chihuahua 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Superfish is really high in Jonnu Smith. I don't hate the take at all. I don't know that the reason I can't like Jonnu is just because of how deep the tight end pool is. It's just so deep. I wouldn't mess around with that like project.
In best ball, I take him as my I've been taking him as a 3rd. Tight end.
That I can get behind. But like as my starter. Yeah, that would be good.
And I think he could be a sneaky weapon for that offense. Maybe even more so than like a dominant fantasy player week in, week out. But no one's ever really used him right. They did a little bit in Tennessee, but Belichick signed him and used him as like an inline blocker and stuff. And it's like, he's an athletic guy that needs the ball.
I'll say in a best ball rotation, sure, as a 3rd tight end, yeah. But I just mean like I would never want him to be my starter. Not
No,
with
not starter.
Yeah, not with all these
but
options.
He's a great third tight end option in best ball.
Sure. So is Taysom Hill also. So is Kraft, especially if you have Luke Musgrave. Isaiah Likely.
Jelani Woods on the,
yeah, I like Jelani Woods.
Jelani's healthy for one year or part of a year.
Isaiah Likely, Ben Sinnott.
Yeah, it's not. Sinnott.
Sinnott season, baby. Yeah.
Theo Johnson could get interesting.
Yeah, he could be.
A lot.
Pretty deep.
A lot of people are talking about Ayuk and Green Bay rumors. If there's any sort of truth on it, I mean, yeah, but this is just, it's probably some Green Bay page, but if I do dig into it and I feel like it's worth talking about tonight, that's what I'll lead with tonight on the draft show. But I'll dig into it. But sometimes this is like the Pittsburgh Steelers rumors, like the Steelers are still expected to trade for Brandon Ayuk, and it's like they're not going to pay Ayuk that money. They're just not.
No, I don't see him paying the money. Not that much.
Let's see here. $26 million was the last deal that Ayuk got offered by the Niners. 49ers have botched the trade negotiations. I told everyone that was going to happen. Now everybody's reporting on it. All these Niner pages are reporting on it all over the place. Like, oh, the Niners botched the trade negotiation, that botched the contract signing. It's like NFL insiders say Ayuk's extension with the 49ers will be near $29 million per season. Our boy Raj is saying that Brandon Ayuk is staying ready when he's running around a park, catching a football between tree trunks. Okay. It's good. It's good.
There's a difference.
I'm not seeing anything really on the Packers that people are saying, what if the Packers traded for him? But I don't know if people are running with that in a bad way. Raheem Mostert, 49ers versus the Packers game. No. I'm trying to find stuff on it. There's nothing. I bet you somebody on a talk show like Sam Acho or his brother, was his brother Emmanuel Acho. I like Sam Acho. I did a show with Sam Acho, a Cardinal show. After every Cardinal game, there was a Cardinal show, and there was a fantasy segment that at the end, and so I went on there and chopped it up with him. And he's a good guy. Sam Acho is great. I love doing that show. It was fun. It was on NBC 12. That was like one of the main only TV things I've ever really done. But his brother Emmanuel was an absolute worst takes in the world. But I bet you like Emmanuel Acho went out and said like the Green Bay Packers should trade for Brandon Ayuk, and then the Green Bay Packer pages everywhere are picking it up. But I don't see anything. Let's see here. This was I don't see anything. I'll keep circling around news wires, but there's nothing on Green Bay that seems any sort of substantial.
One question I had about tight ends, and maybe Ron knows because he's more tapped into the Steelers, is every once in a while I try to ask about Darnell Washington. Is there anything, like, do you think the Steelers ever run some red zone plays for him or anything? Because, like, there's something there with
they're
him.
Going to. I think they're going to, but it's not going to really be anything fantasy significant for anybody. I think they'll use them more than blocking, and I think they'll use them, but he won't get anything fantasy-wise. I mean, he's pretty much fantasy irrelevant.
Did you guys see that Bill Belichick is dating a 24-year-old cheerleader? What is going on? What is going on here? Bill Belichick.
Bill.
It is a picture of, I guess, him with. That's crazy. Bill.
That's good for him, I guess.
Coach Bill is
good for him.
Living it up.
He's
Well,
moving
right
on
up
for
this year.
football, and
Yeah.
he's pulling a Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's wild.
All right, boys. I'll see you later. I'll see you tonight, probably. I'm pretty sure I'll be back.
Thanks, Smitty. See you,
All right,
Rock Out. See you, Ron.
Later, Ron. Later, Rock Out. Later,
See you later.
Deuce.
Have
Oops. All right, I'll see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for my super chatters. Thank you, James Foster, Rock Out, Dan Tanner, that boy, Rock Out, Matthew Hedges, and Dan Tanner with a $20 holler. I don't know if we have any other gifted memberships or anything. Let me look for that. And celebratory messages. I don't know if we do. Hold on, let me search for it. Gifted and celebratory. We had Wild Bill celebrating his 13th month right here. And he said, Patreon now, can I be in the league? I did read that one. Yeah, you're in the league. Anybody that joins the Patreon, let me put that link in the live chat right now. Anybody that joins the Patreon by probably tonight and midnight tomorrow. I can't guarantee tomorrow, but I can guarantee tonight is going to be in the league. Okay, it's a 242-man league. There's the join the Patreon. Hit that link. I'm going to pin it in the live chat, and you can jump right into some convos, some live convos on Patreon. Patreon, it replaced the Discord. I got rid of the Discord. It was just toxic, and Patreon is absolutely magnificent. It's $10 a month. You can cancel anytime. It's like one cup of coffee, but the importance of it is it gives you a live chat capability that's there always for your ability to get the best advice possible. You need a trade advice, whatever the case may be. This Patreon is where it's at. 10 live chats, exclusive content locked down to people, and first 200 members get into a 242-man league. And we just had somebody join right now. Who was that? Was that Wes? Did I see? Wes just joined the Patreon. William H. Worldwide Wes joined right now. Chris just joined a minute ago. Chris, if you're watching, appreciate you. Those are the 3 people that just joined. Appreciate you guys will be in the league. Hang tight. I'll DM you on Patreon when the time is right this week or next week, or it could take about 2 to 3 weeks to get the links to everybody. And so hang tight. Where are you buying coffee at? I mean, are you saying $10 is too much for a coffee or too little? Because good God, these coffees these days are easily $10. All right, I'll see you all later. Appreciate every one of you.
To the moon and dance along the stars. He will be top 5 and rise all year long. What you want, man? What you want, man? On Bijan, scoring touchdown, dropping low, singing line up. Give me my cup, scoring touchdown, down. In the 4th round, giving my cup.